Song for a Whale, Chapter 13. Wendell's house was just a short bike ride from Mr. Gunner's shop. Before leaving home, I'd stuffed my notes about frequencies and piano keys into the front pocket of my jeans. Wendell's 9-year-old sister, Eleanor, was practicing tennis in the driveway, as usual. A bundle of black braids flying behind her as she served a ball to the garage door and chased after it for the return. One got past her, and I grabbed it as it rolled toward the street. "Looking good," I signed after tossing it back to her. Eleanor's goal was to be a better tennis player than Venus and Serena Williams put together. Not just because they'd be old by the time she could play them, she wanted to be good enough to beat them anytime. She set the ball and racket down to free up her hands. "Thanks. Getting ready for a match this weekend." Eleanor signed like a deaf person, even though she was hearing. Wendell was the only one in their family who'd ever been deaf, as far as anyone knew. Their parents started learning sign language right after Wendell was born, and they signed all the time at home. His mom was even a teacher of the deaf at Bridgewood Junior High, where Wendell would go next year. "You'll do great." "Wendell here?" She pointed into the house while taking a gulp from her water bottle. Summer had hit Houston already, and Eleanor's brown face was shining with sweat. "He's changing the stars," she signed after setting her bottle back down. Through the glass panel on the front door, I saw the flicker of the strobe light when I pressed the doorbell, followed by the tall figure of Wendell's mom. We had a flashing doorbell at home, too, so I'd know when someone was at the door. I wired mine so that the lamps in the living room and my bedroom blinked on and off when someone rang the doorbell. Ms. Jackson answered the door and smiled. "Great to see you," she signed. "Wendell's upstairs." I thanked her and ran up to Wendell's room, where he stood on a wooden ladder, pulling sticky plastic stars from the ceiling. His t-shirt read, "You are here," with an arrow pointing to a spot in the Milky Way. I didn't have to ask what he was doing. He was always rearranging the stars to match the current night sky. He gave me a one-handed "What's up?" with his hand that wasn't holding a star chart. "Can I play the piano?" I asked. "Probably not very well." I put a hand on one hip and signed, "I'm serious," even though I was trying not to laugh. I want to check something out on the piano." He climbed down from the ladder and led me into his family's library, which was also their piano room. We sat on the bench together, and he asked, "So, what's the thing you have to check out?" I handed him the slip of paper from my pocket. "It's about this whale." "What kind of whale?" "Not a kind of whale, just one specific whale. I learned about him in science." I placed a hand on top of the piano, and Wendell did the same thing. At the top page, I'd written regular whales 28 hertz. First piano key, 35 hertz. Fifth key. With one finger, I struck the key on the far left. The low sound vibrated against my palm. I played it a few times so we could get to know the sound. Then I did the same thing with each key up to the fifth one, a black one that played 35 hertz. Blue and fin whales didn't sing much higher than that. On the next line of the page, I'd written 55 hertz, 13th piano key. I counted over, starting from the first key until I landed on number 13, a white key this time. I played the note a few times, and the vibration tickled my palm, a bit lighter than the others. "So this whale," I explained to Wendell, That's what he sounds like. I hit the key again. But here's what it's supposed to sound like. I struck the first key again. So he can't talk to other whales. Wendell placed both hands on top of the piano as I alternated between the two notes. Not much of a difference, he signed. It's a big difference for whales. He was right. It didn't feel like much of a difference. Less than a foot apart on the keyboard, but it separated Blue 55 from all the other whales. I thought back to my visit with Grandma and how we sat right next to each other on the couch and couldn't think of what to say. The befuddled face of Wendell's father peeked into the room. He looked like a taller version of Wendell, but with bald brown head instead of a buzz cut. Wendell raised his arms so his dad could see his signs over the top of the piano. It's our new act. We're going on the road as dueling pianists. It'll be great, Mr. Jackson laughed and added, as long as your audience is deaf too. Wendell rolled his eyes like he was annoyed, but then laughed too. His dad was used to signing all the time, and he could jump in on any conversation with us. Wendell told me before that he'd gladly trade for a dad who didn't say anything unless he had to, but I knew he didn't mean it. So, he can't sing lower or something? Wendell asked after his dad left. No, he's been swimming around by himself for a long time, so I think if he could talk to other whales, he would. Or he's a loner and doesn't want to. Wendell nudged my shoulder. I didn't ask him why. I don't know. Maybe. I think he just can't. And other whales, they can't hear him? If they can, they don't know what he's saying. I played each note again, focusing on the difference, and wished I could lower the piano into the ocean and play that note for Blue 55. I want to find a way to talk to him. To the whale? Yes, the whale. How? That's what I have to figure out. Then what? I don't know that either. Not yet. We took turns playing the keys while each of us rested a hand on the piano. Why do you want to talk to him? Wendell asked. I don't know how to answer him. How to explain that this whale swam into an ocean surrounded by other whales he couldn't talk to. That there was no pod or single whale who understood him, not even his own parents. And that I wanted to create a song that would let him know he wasn't alone. I couldn't fully explain it to myself either. I tried to come up with something to compare it to, like the pull of a tide, or something Wendell would understand better, like the gravity of a black hole drawing in everything around it. He keeps singing the song, and everything in the ocean swims by him as if he's not there. He thinks no one understands him. I want to let him know he's wrong about that.